In 1945, a train moved across Europe. No numbers, no official route. It carried cargo that was never meant for the victors. That train never reached its destination. It vanished. No wreck, no trace. And today, we try to uncover what was inside. April 1945. Berlin is burning. The fronts are collapsing. The outcome of the war is already clear. But while the world prepares to celebrate victory, trains continue to leave the stations. Trucks move along dark, empty roads. Submarines head out to sea. Not for battle, not to evacuate soldiers. The Third Reich has lost the war, but it hasn't stopped moving something. What was it? Where was it going? And why, for decades, did they choose silence? This evacuation was not a rumor. It was documented. It was not about soldiers, and not about civilians. They were evacuating something else. Gold from the Reichsbank, secret archives, scientific research, personal files of the Third Reich's leadership, artworks, artifacts, and documents that were never meant to fall into Allied hands. This wasn't panic. It was a carefully planned operation. This train was not marked on any map. It had no official route. Even railway workers did not know where it was heading. Documents were either destroyed immediately or disguised as civilian cargo, but there was nothing civilian inside. The reason for secrecy was simple. If the Allies had known what was being transported, they wouldn't hunt cities. They would hunt this train. Every carriage was a target. Every mile of track was a risk of exposure. The train moved only at night. It stopped where there were no witnesses. Orders strictly forbade opening the wagons even during air raids. According to one report, the crew was ordered, if capture seemed imminent, destroy the train along with its cargo. What were they carrying that could not be lost and could never be seen?
The orders did not follow the normal chain of command. They bypassed the army leadership. Even Wehrmacht officers often had no idea what was happening. The evacuation was controlled by SS structures. Personally, precisely, without explanations. Several documents pointed to direct approval from the highest leadership of the Reich. Hitler's name appeared rarely, but when it did, orders were unquestioned. The train answered to a separate system of control, its own codes, its own guards, its own communications. Post-war witnesses recalled that the guards were different, silent, cold, detached. Some officers vanished immediately after the mission. Others never testified. It begins to seem that this train was meant to disappear along with everyone who knew about it.
The final message was brief. No coordinates, no explanation. Only confirmation that the train was moving as planned. After that, all contact was lost. No distress call, no request for help, no attempt to transmit again. Allied signal intelligence recorded nothing during that period. For an operation of this scale, that was unusual. As if the train simply vanished. Some historians believe radio silence was part of the plan. According to instructions, the crew was to stop transmitting at a certain point along the route. Beyond that, there are no traces, no stations, no witnesses, no verified documents. This is where the story stops being a record of war and becomes a mystery. After the train vanished, theories emerged. Many theories. The first is the most logical. The train was sent into the mountains, into the Alps, to places where underground complexes already existed. Mines, tunnels, bunkers. Built not for battle, but for concealment. The second theory is more dangerous. The train moved eastward, through collapsing rail networks, through the chaos of the war's end, to regions where documents could disappear forever. The third theory is the most disturbing. The train was never meant to arrive. It was a mobile vault. According to this idea, the train was deliberately destroyed. An explosion, a collapse, flooded tunnels, no traces, no witnesses. But there is a fourth theory, one that is rarely discussed. What if the train delivered its cargo and kept going? Officially, there were no witnesses. But after the war, fragmented accounts began to surface. Scattered, incomplete, contradictory. One former railway worker claimed he saw an unmarked train on an abandoned line. According to him, the train stopped for less than an hour. The wagons were never opened. The guards allowed no one near. Another witness described a sudden order to evacuate a station minutes before the train passed. No explanation, no signature. Some claimed they were questioned after the war and told to stay silent. These testimonies never appeared in official records. They survived only in diaries and spoken memories. And every account ends the same way. The train left, and no one ever saw it again. What was inside the wagons was never officially recorded. No manifests, no cargo lists. But indirect evidence offers disturbing clues. Entire archives that vanished in 1945 were never recovered. And this wasn't just paperwork. It may have been data from secret projects, experiments, hidden financial networks. Some researchers believe the train carried gold and valuables meant to secure survival after the war. Others point to technology, developments ahead of their time. There is even a theory that the wagons carried people, specialists, scientists, bearers of knowledge who could not be left behind. If this is true, then it wasn't just a train that disappeared. It was a piece of history that was never meant to be told. Decades have passed. The empire fell. Archives were opened, but not all of them. Some documents remain classified to this day. Others vanished without explanation. Search efforts have been made again and again. Expeditions explored tunnels. Historians examined dusty files. Yet every time the trail ends. No train, no cargo, no official conclusion. Sometimes it feels as if the truth is inconvenient to someone. If the train carried gold, it could have funded new structures after the war. If it carried technology, it may have been absorbed by other powers. If it carried people, their knowledge could have shaped the post-war world. World War II has been studied in detail, and yet shadows remain. This train is one of them. Perhaps it lies buried deep underground. Perhaps it was dismantled and erased. Or perhaps it completed its mission and became part of the world we live in today. Sometimes the greatest mysteries do not disappear. They simply wait.